Hi, I'm Mike Smith, Chairman of WISPs of New Zealand, which is the industry association for WISPs. WISPs have become a huge part of New Zealand's broadband infrastructure, especially in rural areas. We service over 70,000 customers, including the majority of New Zealand's farms. Most of our services are supplied over wireless towers on hilltops, and the rest are resold from other service providers. We're professional, resilient, accessible and flexible, with a local can-do approach. In this video, I'd like you to meet a few of our 30 members, as well as some influential friends in telecommunications.
Kia ora koutou katoa. It's my pleasure to highlight the significant work that WISPs do across New Zealand to ensure families and workplaces are connected. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge all the incredible work that WISPs have been doing to help our rural communities stay connected as the country responds to COVID-19. The hard work and dedication of WISPs has contributed to ensuring that Kiwis have reliable connectivity so they can work, learn and keep in touch with friends and whānau from home. We know how much that means to getting through these challenging times, so thank you to you all. The work WISPs do every day provides important support for our rural communities, both economically and socially. By providing broadband coverage to the most far-flung parts of New Zealand, they are bringing Kiwis closer together and also allowing them to connect to the rest of the world. I want to acknowledge the reputation that WISPs have for being customer-centred. They are credited for having responsive and efficient solutions to problems, and their local knowledge, innovative networks and excellent relationships contribute greatly to helping New Zealanders access quality broadband services irrespective of where they are. I look forward to seeing how WISPs will continue to be important providers of connectivity solutions for rural communities in the future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm James from InspireNet. Back in the 90s, InspireNet was a little small dial-up ISP. We started in my garage to provide some internet to a few friends, and it just took off from there. We ended up with about 2,500 customers over the next 4 months. And that's kind of scaled through into early 2000s when customers started wanting more from us than dial-up. And we started building our first wireless network. At the time, the copper network was coming along with some broadband, but it just wasn't good enough, and it wasn't fast enough, and it wasn't cheap enough for what some of our people wanted. So we started doing some early wireless around the country, or around our district, out to schools and to rural areas where they could get no other kind of access. And then it just kind of grew to 20,000 customers, a couple of thousand kilometres of our own fibre network, 1,000 wireless access points, and about 5,000–6,000 wireless customers on top of the rest of our network.
In 1995, Gisborne had no internet. In fact, most of New Zealand had no internet at the time. And we had a successful business, and we were looking around for something new and cool to do. And the internet was the obvious thing. It was the next big thing at the time, and that's what we decided to do. Initially, we set up a relationship with Waikato University, who provided us with backhaul, and we set up dial-up modems, and we had our Gisborne's first dial-up service running. The wireless services we introduced into the city were incredibly successful, and it wasn't long until we had our customers out on the Poverty Bay flats clamouring for them as well, so we extended into that area. And not long after, we built our first repeaters around the city and extended right out into the region. And now we cover the entire East Coast.
The wireless internet service providers have been a great thing for rural New Zealand. In our recent Federated Farmers Internet Survey or connectivity surveys, we've found over 50% of our membership get their internet through wireless internet service providers, and we're finding, and certainly I've found, that my wireless internet service provider has been able to give me prices similar to what people are paying in town with a similar type connectivity deal. And it's certainly enabled, myself to run my business efficiently in the modern age, my children to do distance learning, as we're all forced to do through COVID. And it's just made life a lot more bearable and easier to connect in the rural environment.
Lightwire provides broadband to over 7,000 customers. And our coverage area is from the Bombays and down to Taupo, and obviously east to west coast. We're fortunate, probably more fortunate than others, that we have this big flat area in the Waikato, and we're lucky enough to have our towers which cover them all. Over 70% of our towers are solar powered, so as everyone knows, that comes with the battles through winter. But the model that we are pushing out now is giving us at least minimum of 2 days backup batteries.
Internet of Things will put WISPs in a fabulous position for two reasons. One, they've got a great relationship with their customer, and two, that we've got towers in places where it is unlikely and unprofitable for anybody else to go and build one, and they are an essential element in getting that data from the rural sector back into the databases for the people that want it. And they're also obviously going to help the farmer on his day-to-day use.
After several years of doing predominantly broadband around Dunedin City wirelessly, Chorus announced that and government announced that there was going to be fibre coming to the urban areas. So we sort of went back to our roots and decided that probably the market going forward would be the rural market. So we pushed into the rural areas around Dunedin City, both north and south, and focused our growth in those areas rather than in Dunedin City. So we've continued to grow that rural market, and it was just as fast as we could with the resources that we had, really, and that was only sort of 1 or 2 sites a year that we could build, and every time we built one, the community that we went into and provided this great internet service. So we now have 12 staff and split between Dunedin and Balclutha, 2 offices, and that's a mixture of customer support and installation teams and site build infrastructure guys. So yeah, we pretty much do everything in-house.
Having really fast broadband is hugely important in the modern world, and COVID-19 and the lockdown has really underlined the importance of that. And of course, in the cities, that's all about ultra-fast broadband and the fibre network. But as you get further out into rural areas, of course, that's tougher. But those rural areas still need the really fast broadband for a whole range of things, for business, for running a farm, for entertainment, for families, and so on. So I just want to salute the WISP providers. They're doing a fantastic job. I can tell you from a personal experience they are, because I live outside of a city in a rural area, and we had major problems with our DSL broadband, and then we got hold of a good WISP provider and they just sorted our issues out straight away. We've got fantastic wireless broadband now, and that's really the long-term solution for rural areas, particularly remote rural areas, is to have that fast broadband coming. And it takes a certain type of entrepreneurial approach. It takes local guys who understand the topography, who are predisposed to making things work. Every situation's a little bit different, and the WISPs are doing that, and I think they're doing a wonderful service for New Zealand. So I'm a huge fan, and all power to them, and let's get this whole country covered in really fast broadband. So with the Internet of Things and everything else that's coming along, not just the farmhouses connected, but all the different connection points around the property as well. So great work, WISPs. I'm looking forward to seeing you showing what's possible as we head out in the next 5 or 6 years.
Hi, I'm Bill Smale and I am the Managing Director of Wireless Nation.
Hi, I'm Tom Lin. I started Wireless Nation in 2005 and now I'm the CTO of the company. Back in those days, back in 2005, if you would like to get the internet or the broadband in your apartment in Auckland CBD or anywhere in the country, you need to have access to the copper line, which is capable of delivering the broadband. And a lot of apartments and homes around the country do not have that kind of close proximity to the exchanges. And I decided that it would be wonderful to be able to access broadband without using a copper line, so that we can just go high-speed internet, with wireless technology. At the time, fast forward 2020, we now supply the internet anywhere in the country using the wireless technology, using a modem like this. And so we are technology agnostic, so we don't say that one technology is better than another technology. It depends on where customer is owning and what is best.
Our customers include farming families and the associated staff, to small businesses, government departments, and we do a bit of wholesale work as well. There are some larger businesses that we deal with also. So not only do we do work with farming families in the rural communities, we also do a server co-location facility down in Culverden. It's the only co-location facility in New Zealand that's been magnitude 7.8 tested. So like most WISP networks out there, we rely on wireless technology as well as battery banks and solar power to power everything. So in fact, we were the only network left running in Kaikoura during that time.
While we were starting up, we talked to our accountant, who's also on a farm, and her husband was sitting close by, and his advice was quite profound. He, being a farmer, said, don't talk to the husbands, talk to the wives. And was like, well, why would we do that? And he said, well, they're the ones who've got the kids at boarding school to talk to on voice over IP or Skyping. They order the materials for the farm, they order the super, they pay the bank accounts. The farmer just wants to be out on the tractor. Profound advice. It really worked well.
So in New Zealand, the WISPs are a really important part of our rural communities. They manage to be able to reach out into our rural and remote areas with internet that the bigger providers cannot get out. They are small, they're agile, they've got a can-do attitude, and they will get out there so that we can get internet into our communities, our families and our businesses, so that the digital divide for them is not quite as large as otherwise it would be. With the WISPs being local and living in their communities, they understand the issues, the area and the people they're dealing with, so they can get the best outcomes for their customers, and we thank them for what they do for our rural families, their communities and our businesses. They do a great job and we need to support them.
The winter time, of course, we come up against some pretty interesting challenges because of snow and ice on solar panels and keeping the batteries charged up and the systems running and the antennae being covered in ice and the ice acting like a dielectric lens on the aerials and pointing the signal in completely different directions. So no, it's a really interesting and challenging but rewarding environment. I think I see a pretty bright future for WISPs in that they are providing top-level service to people in country areas, and they can economically penetrate zones where the other services would seriously struggle to be ever available.
Although we had extra capacity put in for the Rugby World Cup, having COVID-19 thrown at us unexpectedly, we've seen demand go up to 80-90% on some links. We need to future-proof that for the customers in the rural area, that they get their capacity, and we're just seeing a general increase in internet usage. Although after the COVID-19 there has not been the drop back to originally where it was pre-COVID. So having WISP connectivity in the rural areas of Southland and Otago has enabled them to do better business. A lot of people are using online services now, such as MYOB. A lot of people storing data in the cloud.
Crown Infrastructure was conducting a rural broadband program. We knew it was important to have the wireless internet service provider community, or the WISPs, involved, given their ability to reach the far-flung reaches of New Zealand's rural community. To date, we've been really impressed with how the WISPs have deployed the network, and have got into these far-reaching places at a better cost than we would have thought, and currently are nearly 50% through their program. Another thing that's really impressed us is the ability for the WISPs to work with their local community, and this is because they are locals, they understand the local needs and can address those local needs really well with their technology. And I think lastly I'd really like to add is the WISPs do provide a fantastic service out there. They provide really good broadband speeds there at megabits per second, higher than some of the other technology alternatives, with really good data capture, in some cases no data capture at all, at a really affordable price, which really appeals for what people need in the rural community today.
The greatest thing about the job is knowing that we're making a difference to the lives of so many people in remote areas, and we're bringing them the ability to live their lives in a way that everyone else just takes for granted. The highlight of this job is the experiences it brings, the people you meet along the way and the places it takes you. We go to far-flung places, up beautiful hills, and we meet people who you'd never normally come across that have some amazing stories.
So we're really encouraged by the work that the WISPs have done. I mean, we're really always been a believer in people finding solutions in their locality, you know, because they understand the problems. And so these are entrepreneurs and local people who have stepped up and been really effective and efficient with the resources they've been given to deliver city-grade services where others have been unable to. And so all power to them, and we continue to support and encourage the work that they do.
So that's us. We're getting bigger every day, and we're here for the long haul. As rural people's need for connectivity changes, your local WISP will be there with you or ahead of you. Stay connected, and thanks for watching.